How crusty do I look, man? You know, this 4K brings out all the details. Oh shit, are we live? Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's topic is gonna be about something that I've wanted to make a video about, specifically a vlog, for a very long time, but I just haven't had the opportunity to do so, and that is what it's like to study in the UK as an American, particularly as a Black American. This is actually quite relevant because for those of you who don't know, I did just graduate in June from University of Glasgow, and my open house / graduation party is actually tomorrow, or today by the time this video goes up. I thought it would be the perfect time to make a video, but anyway, with that being said, if you've not checked out my last vlog, which was about exploring Frankenmuth, which is like a really German-centric town in Michigan, it's really cool, lots of history. Check it out, it's gonna be linked down below. I would appreciate it if you give it a like, subscribe if you enjoy the content. With that being said, getting straight into the content of the video, how? That's pretty much the question that you guys might be thinking. How can you study in a different country if you're American, or if you're whatever other nationality you are and you're considering studying in another country? And it's simultaneously very hard and very difficult at the same time. It's easy in the sense that particularly from the US to the UK system, in terms of applying for universities, it's kind of a similar concept in that the UK has what's called UCAS, which is very similar to the American Common Application System. So if you're familiar with that, if you're a uni student in the States, you'll know what I'm talking about. Same concept, you basically have one website, you apply to all the universities in the UK, or at least the majority of them, via this one service, and it's really convenient because obviously you just upload one application, all your recommendations go on there, and then sometimes different universities have like different questions, just like on the Common App in the States, but for the most part pretty straightforward. So some context about my particular situation. I went to a Catholic high school in Detroit, Catholic all-boys school, and upon graduation it was pretty much between the University of Glasgow and the University of Kentucky and Michigan State. I actually wanted to go to USC in California, but I didn't get in there. So I ended up going to Kentucky for my freshman year. Didn't like it, never really liked it. Probably shouldn't have even gone there. Anyway, I ended up applying via UCAS again for Glasgow and for Edinburgh, and also King's College London and Richmond in London. So I ended up getting in all of them, and it was pretty much just between Glasgow and Edinburgh. The thing about the Glasgow situation, it was a bit strange because I had gotten on a physics course because I was majoring in physics in the States, and I got on a physics course at Glasgow when I was applying at a high school, but the second time around, for some reason, Glasgow didn't accept me on the physics course. And I really should have inquired about this situation a bit more, but I guess I was just so demoralized about not getting in USC, I just took what they gave me, which was really stupid, but anyway, it is what it is. So I ended up going to visit both Glasgow and Richmond in London because my mom and I go somewhere every year, and in 2016 we ended up doing a European tour. I was able to do a little excursion to Glasgow. I got to see the city, a wee bit of it. We ended up missing our train back and only had like an hour there, so we didn't have the most pleasant experience, but I did get to see the university and got to see the people, obviously, and I liked it. It was different. It was because prior to that I'd only been to London, and obviously London and Glasgow, worlds apart. So anyway, I ended up going with Glasgow after I had actually made a deposit with the American University in London. Just ended up switching to Glasgow, and from that point on, I was set on going to Glasgow. So everybody pretty much tried to talk me out of it though, before I went there. Like, family members, I had friends who were like, no, you don't need to go there, it's too crazy. But I ended up doing it, and it was pretty much the best decision that I've ever made. I mean, once I got there, there was definitely an adjustment period that everybody needs to know about. If you're planning on going to university in Glasgow or in Scotland or in the UK, be prepared for the weather. I cannot stress this enough. Be prepared for the weather. When I got there, I had no idea how the weather was in Scotland or how the weather was in the UK long term. I knew it rained a lot in the UK, but I didn't know it rained every day. So when I first got to Glasgow, there was like definitely an adjustment period of like a month where I was like depressed as fuck because I mean, I didn't see the sun. You know, I'm not used to that. Like, yeah, it gets cold in Michigan, but we see the sun every now and then. So that, and then on top of that, one thing that can be quite a change for American students who are looking at studying in Europe, in the UK specifically, is that a lot of things that we have at American universities, they're not going to have over there, such as cafeterias, meal plans, dorm. Well, some universities in the UK do have dorms, but Glasgow didn't have like any dorms on campus, so you had to stay off campus. My particular accommodation is actually quite a meme in the Glasgow community, Firhill Court, and that's like a mile and a half away from uni, so I actually ended up most days having to walk 3 miles total to and from classes. Outside of first year can definitely be an excuse not to go to class, and I will say I was guilty on more than one occasion. But overall, it was a great experience. It did make me more independent. I actually had to learn to cook a lot better than I was accustomed to. Like, I obviously already knew how to cook, but I didn't have to cook every day, obviously in the States. But if you go to a university in the UK, unless you stay at, for example, Glasgow Uni had this one hall that was called I think it was Wolfson Hall, and they did have like a cafeteria in there, but it should be noted that you're probably not gonna have a cafeteria or a meal plan if you plan on studying in the UK, so just be prepared for that. Brush up on your cooking skills, watch some Hell's Kitchen or Kitchen Nightmares with Gordon Ramsay. Moving on, in terms of the academic adjustment, there is a substantial difference in terms of how grades are allotted at American universities and at British universities. For example, in the States, obviously most people are going to be used to having a setup where you have a lot of coursework, homework, tests, quizzes, etc., and these all contribute to your total grade. But in the UK, most courses, I would say most courses anyway, at least in the arts, I'm not sure how sciences are, but most courses in the arts are definitely going to be very focused on like 1 or 2 assessments. So you might have an essay or a project and an exam, and that's it. Some classes have less than that. Like, for example, I had a class on Latin American culture last semester in which we had 1 assignment the entire year. I ended up getting a C on it, so I passed it. But if you're not a good test taker, or you're not good at writing essays, or giving projects, it can be something that can be quite tricky. With that being said, because of that, it's also harder to get higher grades in the UK. So a lot of people in the States, you might be used to getting A's and B's and things like that, but in the UK, it's definitely more curved. So there's more B's and C's, and even some D's. Like, it's a lower threshold to pass at university, at least at Glasgow. I'm not sure how it is down south in England. So that can be kind of an adjustment if you're not used to doing a lot of independent work or self-guided study, because the teachers and the instructors in the UK are really going to be expecting you to be able to learn stuff on your own, pick up things, and to just go with it, learn it on your own. And obviously in the States, it's not like that. Like, we have a bigger support network, but you don't really have that in the UK. So obviously there's tons of differences between the US and the UK culturally, but for today's video, I'm just gonna talk about 2, because I could probably make a completely different video breaking down all the cultural differences, and it would be like 15 minutes long. That'll probably be my next video actually. But for today's video, I just want to talk about 2, and that's the fact that in the UK, you obviously don't have Greek life or intercollegiate sports like you have at American universities. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the US setup, Greek life is like fraternities and sororities, which, I mean, other than getting pished at the weekend, I really don't know what purpose they serve. But for some people, it's fun. They enjoy it. They like being a part of them. My mother and sisters are actually heavy into Greek life, so it appeals to some people. It doesn't appeal to me. So there's none of that in the UK, and there's also no like NCAA setup, which for those of you who aren't familiar with the States, the NCAA is basically our college athletic league, where you have like college basketball, college lacrosse, college soccer. I feel so dirty for using the word soccer, and other college sports, and they compete for their various championships in their sports. And actually in the States, we have people who just go to university to play sports. So people will get scholarships and they'll just go to university, to play sports, which is quite weird if you think about it. But yeah, none of that in the UK. So if you're at university to learn. What should be my thumbnail? I also noticed there's less of an emphasis on going out and drinking all the time in the UK versus in the US. Now, this is gonna sound really crazy, because obviously anybody who's familiar with Scotland knows that people in Scotland love their Bucky, they love going out and getting pitched at the weekends. But when you compare it to like a typical American university, I feel like people aren't drinking to excess quite as much. And I think it has to do with the fact that a lot of times for Americans, going to uni is like their first time away from home, and it's the first time that they're really able to drink like on their own. And obviously because the drinking ages in the States are so stupid, but that's a completely different topic for another day. So you have to be 21 to drink in the States, whereas in the UK you only have to be, I believe it's 4 with parental supervision. So obviously people have been drinking all their lives in the UK, and in the US people haven't. So there's probably, you know, it's not like a big deal to go out and drink in the UK versus in the US. So I just realized that I've gone pretty much the entirety of the video without talking about visas, which is obviously pretty bad, because if you're gonna study in another country you have to have a visa. In the case of the UK, you have to have a tier 4 student visa, which was really difficult in my experience to get because I didn't read the fine print. So make sure you read the fine print when you apply for a visa. Basically you have to pay for the return label with the UK's authorized shipper, and I ended up paying for my return label through UPS. So my visa had essentially been sitting in an office in New York for like 2 weeks, and they weren't even gonna tell me about it. I didn't have my passport, I didn't have anything, so I couldn't even leave the country or anything like that. What ended up happening was I contacted one of the admissions advisor at Glasgow Uni, and they basically told me that I had to pay to ship it back with the UK's authorized shipper. Ended up doing that, got it back just in time. Like I think it was the day before I was scheduled to leave, I got it back. So I was buzzing, and that's how I was able to get over to Glasgow. So that pretty much wraps up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm gonna be doing a lot more UK, US stuff in the future. I'm gonna make a playlist, maybe make a series of it. Obviously because I've studied abroad, I've kind of got a lot of things that I can talk about and a lot of cultural things I can make videos on. Got enough for weeks, so I'm gonna be doing a playlist. If you did enjoy the video, feel free to drop a like, subscribe if you've not done so already for more content. Click that notification bell down below so you'll know when I upload, which is gonna be a lot more often now. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys checking it out. If you've not checked out my last vlog, I'm gonna be linking that down below so you can check that out. And yeah, you guys be awesome. I've got a graduation party to catch.